Power Girls special issue 1. Leah Williams writing with Margaret Savage on the story. Take it away.
Yes, so it picks up right after the backups. We're dealing with Johnny Sorrow.
Yeah, and he's plunged at least Metropolis into this fugue state, right?
And they're all in this shared delusion, which I kind of love.
Yep.
Like, the first page is this fake advert for Johnny Sorrow's fragrance, and it's got Sorrow, because you don't need a face to turn heads.
Yep. Very, very smart writing.
That made me laugh. Already, good start. I'm laughing on the first page.
It's been a minute since I've been familiar with Johnny Sorrow, and so until I finish this, because it gets heavy into his kind of past about, in the 40s and stuff. So when I pulled it back up, I forgot he was a silent movie star, and the reason that he becomes Johnny Sorrow is he turned to crime and got stopped by the Sandman and Sandy, right? And that's what leads to him to become a hellspawn, essentially.
That's why he's so tied with the JSA.
Right. And so, but I forgot about the acting part. So seeing this world where, like, you're talking about the fragrance and all of this, like,
it is just
theatrical
one big performance.
Yeah, it's one big performance, and I thought that was hilarious. Until, of course, Paige, or Power Girl, kicks her way out, which I think with what this issue leads to, I feel it's a real big take, a real big swing for Leah Williams to have a superpower family or a super family member having like reality punching powers.
Yes, that has famously never been wrong before.
Yeah, and so I definitely think it takes some massive guts to make that work, and I think Leah Williams does.
And I think it's ballsy to stick with it, because to jump ahead a little bit, by the end of the issue, her telepathy is gone.
Yeah, her psychic.
So she doesn't have the psychic link with
Omen.
With Omen anymore. Thank you. But she does still have the astral punch.
Yep.
And it definitely the tease at the end kind of sets up like, no, this is going to be a kind of a main part of her series when that finally starts in like September.
Which I do like, because through the course of this, we get that Johnny Sorrow has these 4 horsemen, right?
Yes.
You have a Pit, the Pendulum, the Poet, and the Piper.
Yeah.
They're really leaning into the alliteration, right? And each of them are doing something different in the city. So like he dispatches the Pit into Gotham, and it makes it look like it's causing people to be pitted against each other.
Yeah, it's inflaming the passions.
Yeah, right. And then you have the Pendulum, who looks like something out of Silent Hill, right? Like, I'm not that familiar with the games.
It's very much like there is no head. It's just a big like crystal spike.
Yeah, or like a tree stump kind of that's been broken off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so he's gone through the South to cause chaos and frighten people, and then in LA the Poet has gone to entice people, and then the Piper's in Seattle.
To go to LA with that, right?
And then the Piper's gone to to basically awaken the passions and make people dance, kind of Pied Piper.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is part of Sorrow's ploy to keep Power Girl and Omen busy, right?
Yeah.
Because while he's in the astral plane, they can't touch him, right? So
and he can't. I mean, he can't touch them either, but he doesn't really need to most of the time.
No, and so this leads to a challenge for Paige and Omen to figure out how to do this, and come to find out that Paige, through her her history of feeling like she doesn't belong, has put up this what they call it, like a wall of feelings.
It did have a specific name. It was just like this metaphorical wall
of awful, right? And so that's when the Lazarus rain hit her, that's what activated her psychic abilities, because they're all behind this wall of awful, right? And this is her barrier, and that's what she eventually breaks through and gives her that astral punch, right? But it is that wall of awful, and over the course of the issue, she has felt like she's never belonged because she's from Earth 2, right? And so even in her history, they give her the birthing matrix origin for Supergirl.
Yes.
Right? That was more traditionally with Clark and Man of Steel. where she was, she wasn't quite born yet. They put her as a fetus into this to go off to Earth, and she grows up by herself, right? She gets to Earth 2. She's with Cal. Cal dies. I'm assuming this is Infinite Crisis.
I think it is the Crisis. Yeah, the pre-Crisis Cal. Yeah.
Right.
So that's Cal-L, as in just the capital letter L.
Right. And then, as we know through multiversal shenanigans, Earth 2 also gets destroyed. So she ends up on Earth, and so she never feels, because of this, like growing up in isolation, losing her cousin that was her one tie back to her home and whatever. She's kept every one of the super family in like at arm's length. So she's going around Metropolis, kind of trying to wake them up, like because she has John there at the beginning.
Yeah.
We get this really nice moment with her and Kara where she goes into Kara's apartment, and this is I wish Pete had read, because Streaky shows up, and Streaky protects Kara, which is nice, right?
Yeah. Streaky just starts taking slices.
Yeah, at Paige, and
she
so
does throw him through a wall.
And then it's like, I hope that cat has superpowers, or else I'm gonna feel real guilty, right? And so of course Streaky does, but Kara, where she had passed out, right? She was filling out her journal, and she, Paige starts reading it, and then realizes, well, this is I can't do this. This is a violation of privacy.
Like, Power Girl is a lesser version of me. That's how she. And she's like, nope, diary. I shouldn't. Next panel.
Right.
Whoop, picks it back up.
Keeps reading, but then it's this very nice complimentary where Kara realizes that she puts up this wall, but we have to keep trying to break through to her, because as a member of the super family, it's our job to make her feel welcome. And the fact that she's done so well despite isolating herself from everybody shows how strong, and Kara admires that. And so it awakens this part of Paige that she feels wanted, and she feels like now this is her mission, that she has to take care of Johnny Sorrow and Metropolis, just for the super family, so nothing bad happens to them. All right, so she goes through with this newfound like fire. She goes and starts taking on the Horsemen.
Just lots and lots of astral punches. Yep.
And then
except the one in Gotham, which Catwoman deals with.
Right, Catwoman deals with, which I think was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get more on that later, because I do like Leah Williams. I'm going to continue with this for sure, right? But I'm hoping that's a mystery for later, because I want to know how, out of all people, Catwoman's the one that was able to deal with this.
Yeah. Reasons was kind of the vibe here.
Yeah. Well, and when she ends up in where she's taking on the pendulum, right? Johnny Sorrow starts popping back up, and he touches her, right? She stops.
Whoa! Where does he touch her?
Well,
no, because he was incorporeal before. Like it was just they were going through, like, phased through each other. Right? If Pete had paid any attention to the rest of this conversation, that would have been fine.
Right.
No, I was just.
Well, it was the context as well.
I was getting images of Charlie with the doll. Where did he touch you?
So she goes to punch him, right, and he blocks it. So now Power Girl realizes, hey, we can tussle. So they start fighting. He starts trying to seduce her. They end up doing this like old movie. It looks like Gone with the Wind on the cover, right? And this is where it's kind of getting into his 40s origin. And then he starts to take his true form, which is that Lovecraftian tentacle beast, right? And Power Girl, what says?
She's having none of it.
Well, she's having none of it, but it's basically she's baiting him just long enough for Omen to do what Omen needs to do psychically, because of course Johnny Sorrow starts monologuing about all of the stuff that he's done, and Omen kicks Johnny Sorrow out of Power Girl's head, which is where we realize that's where they've been fighting, right?
But in doing so, this is what removes her psychic powers.
Right?
It kind of the little piece of the astral plane that was kind of in there that was giving her the powers to begin with, kind of got shoved out along with Johnny Sorrow.
Right. And so she retreats. She goes back. It seems like because Johnny Sorrow, was telling her that you can save everybody. You just have to come back to Earth too. But she realizes he's already tried this before. He's just playing from a different script, but it was Stargirl last time.
Yep, it's the exact same thing as before.
Right. So she goes back to her house, right, and it is just littered with pizza boxes, which I very much appreciate. You know, and then she starts punching this mirror because she doesn't know what to do, and Kal-El shows up to her, which I don't mind Savage's art. Like I'm not in the Pete camp where where I wouldn't say you think it's bad, right, Pete? It's not for you.
Try to picture it.
It as you call it,
the fairy tale one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards it's not my taste, but I do hate it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I up to this point, I think the art's been really, really competent. There's been a lot of good like layouts, and the action sequences are good. And then when Kal-El shows up, the older Superman, he's got the gray temples, right? He looks very sinister, and I don't know if that was the intent. I think it's meant to be welcoming, but he looks creepy as hell.
Yeah, I think so Savage occasionally has a couple of like plasticky faces.
Yeah.
Is kind of the effect. And I don't think she's very good at drawing older men, because I think it's supposed to be like, just age wrinkles.
Right.
And it just doesn't really come off amazingly.
But yeah, but when he shows up and he's just standing there, I'm like, oh man, this is Sorrow again. He's playing tricks, and that's not at all what it ends up being, right? This is Kara's right. This is Kara Paige's own. She's processing the loss of her cousin, right? And this is what leads to her punching through the wall of awful, which leads to the astral punching aspect of her powers now. Because he basically shows up and says, like, I'm sorry for everything you've been through, but you're stronger than all of this. And this is the part that really spoke to me, right? Where Power Girl throughout this is talking about what love is and what is the opposite of love. And she says it's not
Baby,
hate.
don't hurt me. Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Right? Is that hate is like love's hardened edge, right? You put up there, and it's something that you can attack with, and it can hurt people. And so she realized that the opposite of love is grief, and that she's been dealing with a lot of grief and not really dealing with it. She's not dealing with it at all. And so this is what's led up to this wall of awful. And so she has to get through that grief and the loss of her cousin, the loss of Earth 2, to be who she needs to be. And this is where we get her origin and, kind of the birthing matrix type thing. And again, Kal-El looking super creepy with the age lines. But I think the rest of the art here, like her parents don't look as scary, right? Connor, would you agree?
Yeah, they look okay, but they're only in one panel, right? I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, so she says that, she's realizing now that to freeze or falter in the shadow of love is the only way to fail their sacrifice. So she's like, well, I gotta be me. I gotta stop putting people at a distance. I gotta start, living the life that I need to live. And that's where she wakes up and she starts coming out and just taking out these horsemen for good. And this is where we get the page with Catwoman, right? Yeah. So her and Omen team up. Sorrow's in a old movie theater where he's, playing one of his old movies. And he's thinking that Power Girl's come to join him, right? Because he's going to give her that sense of belonging. And she just punches the hell out of him. The Super Family wakes up. Superman shows up. Turns out he was dealing with he
was off Earth.
spaceship.
Yeah. That's why he wasn't in
all of this.
in the heads with everyone else, but he was also nowhere to be found to help.
Right. And so, Clark shows up and says how proud of her she is for handling all of this when, everyone else out of commission, and that you are a member of the family. And
then Kara gives a streaky.
Yep, because she needs a friend. And so they go back, and Kara Power Girl, Paige henceforth, decides to punch a hole in the astral reality, and it looks like she's going on, adventures now. So
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see, because that seems to be the setup for the series that's coming.
hmm
Is she's off doing something
right,
through
which
these punches?
right, and I do hope we see some members of the Super Family. Like I want to see some stuff with her and Supergirl. Right now
Yeah.
that we've had that, like Kara really admires her, and you know she has Streaky, and but just the fact now that like it's even when she had psychic powers, it differentiated her from the rest of the Super Family and Supergirl herself. This, as silly as it sounds, the astral punching or reality punching, whatever it is, seems silly, but I think it really makes her stand out because she isn't from this earth, right?
No, it makes her just something a little bit different, because I think that's
Right.
the whole point of this
hmm
backup and this one, special so far has been just to kind of differentiate her from Kara, basically.
Right.
Including all right, we're reestablishing her backstory. It's completely different.
Right.
Kind of giving her
And-
a new, fresh name to make her feel different.
Right.
Keeping her at a
And-
distance, but still okay. By the end, she's kind of part of the family, but still at a distance compared to
Right.
normal.
And so she, it's one of those ones where she's not like because I wouldn't even say she's like the black sheep, like the Jason Todd of the family. She's just going to be the one that's out reality hopping, And I also felt like this is, and I don't know if this is because Leah Williams came from writing at Marvel and stuff. It kind of reminds me of what America Chavez's powers are.
Oh,
Right?
I can see that. Yeah.
Right? And it might just be the star kind of because she's punching through reality. It's got a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I, as someone that loves multiversal stuff and other Earths, I think this is more than fitting for Power Girl or Paige because she doesn't have a last name yet. Is she Paige Star? Like she was Karen
I don't
Star?
know actually.
We don't know. So, but it's definitely added a fondness to her. I put her in that Jesse Quick territory of extended family members that I have this weird affection for. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see again, folks. Obviously, I believe it's a different artist.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how, how much Savage is what bringing into the series and how much is Williams, because I think a lot of it is this very strong visual style that Savage has. So definitely be interested to see how that goes.
Yep.
Get,
Yeah. Go ahead.
get Tom King on the art.
They definitely won't look like lifeless dolls. That's for sure.
Get Tom King on the art and profit.
Yes. Step
So
one
this works.
and step two. But yeah. So quick ratings, Connor. Just this main part.
I'm even looking at 8. I think it's really solid.
I'll go 8.5. It's made me a fan of Leah Williams. I'm gonna check out everything she does going forward now, and especially Power Girl. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely on board to check out the next book.
So, and then the backup, it's the Fire and Ice story. Starting here, it's Joanne Starr on the script and Nacha Bustos on the art. This is Fire and Ice going to handle a tidal wave in Baltimore. And so it's really heavy on dialogue between the two. And I'd say the art style fits the Justice League International vibes of it. It's very clean. A lot of fine lines. But as they're in Baltimore, Fire mentions Ice. Isn't this Guy's hometown? And Ice like, yeah, but don't mind that. And Ice pulls out something out of her boot and presses it. And as they're dealing with this tidal wave, right? Fire's trying to use her powers to steam it away. Ice is building up ice walls. Guy Gardner shows up. And Fire takes exception to this because, we're back to writing Guy as a total jerk. And of course, Fire has issues with her best friend's ex. He starts doing the chauvinist thing of like, oh, let me show you girls how this is done. So he makes a giant vacuum construct to start sucking up the water, which of course doesn't make things better, and it makes things more difficult. So it causes Ice to overexert herself. She passes out. Fire gets pissed at Guy, and then they end up arguing the whole time. Guy sends a dragon construct after Fire. They keep fighting. Ice is trying to get them under control. She ends up putting them in like 2 separate ice bubbles to separate them. And they're finally, you know, when the adult in the room shows up, Superman flies in to find out what's been going on. Fire automatically blames Guy, but then, you know, Superman is like, hey, guys, we're all on the same side here. I get it. Guy can be, Guy can be tough to deal with, but like, you guys got to put your egos aside when it comes to saving people, because we're here for them, not for each other. And that's where Fire sees that the thing that Ice pulled out of her boot was her old Justice League communicator, and it essentially let Guy know that they were in town, which then leads to them to get into an argument where Superman's like, hey, you guys need to take a break. I know the exact place that'll be good to get away and get your heads back on. And it cuts to them driving in a car, entering into Smallville. So it's just basically the setup for the Fire and Ice series that's coming out, which is that the backup to the Power Girl, or was that just in this? Because I can't remember.
What was in the backup?
The Fire and Ice, right? Is that going to be its own book?
I think it's its own book.
Okay.
I
So I
think.
couldn't remember if that was just more of a backup in the Power Girl thing, if they were going to partner these things up, or what.
No, I think
But-
it's so many series.
Okay. I mean, it's very good. As a Guy fan, it kind of still, Guy is a jerk. Well, this is what we're leaning back into, you know, and that's fine. If that's what the continuity is going to be going forward. It's a tough pill to swallow, but one I could take nonetheless. But the art style is very good. I think this is the same team that's going to be going on into the main. But yeah, very entertaining. A lot of dynamics that are going on between Fire and Ice. So if that keeps up, and we'll see their shenanigans in Smallville. But yeah, I'll give this a 7.5.